Good morning. Come to order. Welcome to the March 18th, 2022 Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission Committee meeting. Got a few things here to reference the agenda I need you to be aware of. If y'all will follow me real quick, we need to make some additions to the agenda. Page 3, waivers to attend another academy. Cleveland State Community College has a waiver on a Jaden, I think it's Moreno, M-O-R-E-N-O, that needs to be added to waivers to attend to another academy. Page 5. At the top of the page, you'll see Greene County Sheriff's Office. That's going to be scratched off of the agenda. And down at the bottom of page 5 for Knoxville Police Department is going to be passed to next month. Moving over to page 7. Third item down from the top of the page, Murfreesboro Police Department is going to be scratched off of the agenda. Making sure that I believe that's all that I have in reference to the agenda. Does anybody have any questions reference the agenda? If not, we're going to try to pass through this as quickly as possible this morning. It's pretty thick and then there's a lot of redundant issues in the agenda, which we may take as a whole. So that will, don't let the agenda or the docket scare you this morning. But with that being said, I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Administrative matters.
All post commissioners have previously agreed to recuse themselves from any vote that would constitute a conflict of interest. The most obvious of these would include issues that involve their own apartments or someone they know personally. Because they have already agreed to this, it should be noted that on routine matters, it will be assumed non-verbally that these commissioners have abstained from that vote. In bigger, more controversial issues that may have a more overt conflict of interest, it may have an appearance of impropriety, those applicable commissioners will still verbally abstain from those votes.
Roll call.
Commissioner Birchfield.
Here.
Commissioner Cherry.
Here.
Commissioner Dunbar.
Here.
Commissioner Green.
Here.
Commissioner Forster.
Here.
Commissioner Halsey. Commissioner Jackson. Commissioner Russell.
Here.
Commissioner Spangler.
Here.
Commissioner Wagner.
Here.
Commissioner Wright.
Here.
Commissioner Faulkner.
Here.
And Chairman Parton.
Here.
We have a cancel.
Thanks. Approval of minutes from February's meeting 2022. We've had a chance to review those or go over those, but I entertain a motion for any discussion on the minutes from last month. If not, I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Decertification hearings held this month. You want to go over that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, we had 4 items come up for business yesterday at the informal hearing subcommittee. The first being an agreed surrender involving Mr. Brandon F. Simmons, formerly of the Estill Springs Police Department. Ms. Cooper, if you wouldn't mind to give the commissioners a brief overview of that surrender.
Commission members, Mr. Brandon Simmons was indicted for 2 counts by the circuit court of, I believe it was Franklin County, 1 for aggravated assault and 1 for domestic assault. He ended up pleading to 2 counts of misdemeanor assault, and as part of his plea agreement agreed to surrender his post-certification. That was presented to the informal committee yesterday, and that was approved that he would surrender.
The next item was involving a Broderick H. Bolden, formerly of the Dyersburg Police Department. The committee heard that. It was based on termination after an internal affairs investigation. Determining that the general orders concerning domestic violence had been violated, and the vote of the committee was to refer to the full commission. The next item involved a Terry Graham, formerly of the Crossville Police Department. In that particular one, the committee determined that no further action towards decertification should be taken. And the last item involved a Christopher R. Tracy of the Memphis Police Department. And in that item, the committee determined that no further action towards decertification should be taken.
Any discussion on those matters? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to approve the decertification hearings held this month.
I'll make the motion.
A motion second, all in favor? Motion carries. Moving on to page 3. Appearing for the Commission for Pre-Employment Requirements, Hickman County Sheriff's Office.
Hickman County Sheriff's Office requests a conviction waiver for Timothy Dante Birdsong, hired January 27th, 2022. On March 15th, 2019, Mr. Birdsong was arrested in Murray County, Tennessee, and charged with assault. On December 9th of 2020, Mr. Birdsong pled guilty to misdemeanor assault. Mr. Birdsong has since satisfied all court-ordered fines and fees.
Is Hickman County Sheriff's Office with us this morning?
Yes, we are.
Can you identify yourselves and go over this case with us?
Yes, Lieutenant Michael Dotto and Deputy Birdsong is here with me. Mr. Birdsong was assigned as an SRO in one of the schools. He'd been freshly out of the academy about 3-4 months. He was placed in a situation where he had followed the use of force continuum and took a student to the ground. The Murray County Sheriff's Office determined that it was a violation of policy. It was presented to at least 2 grand juries. The first grand jury came back with a no true bill. It was re-presented to the grand jury again with no new evidence other than the arrestee's mother testifying. They got a true bill. Mr. Birdsong accepted a plea so that he can continue on with his life and move past it. We all know that things get tied up in court and he'd still be going through it if he continued to fight it. The Sheriff's Office just asked that the County Commission allow Mr. Birdsong to continue to push through and reemployment as a law enforcement officer.
Thank you. Is he under any kind of probation at this time?
He will be under a 6-month probation here with the Sheriff's Office once he is, the waiver is granted. His 6-month probationary period will start then.
Okay, I guess I should restate my question. Is he under any kind of court probation?
No, sir, he satisfied everything with the court. He attempted to get it expunged. However, state law prevents him from having it expunged for a period of time. That's why it has not been expunged as of yet.
Questions of the commissioners?
This is Forster. So you said that he was charged for a reasonable use of force.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that.
So you said he was charged for using a reasonable amount of force in that incident?
We believe it was. It was a student that he ended up taking to the ground, that they believe he used excessive force. We think it's just a matter of opinion. It was on video and the video does not look, it doesn't look good. It looks pretty rough. And we believe that's what prompted the whole charges.
What were the circumstances surrounding him taking to the ground?
Mr. Birdsong was called to the gymnasium for a fight between 2 students. When he got to the gymnasium, he found one of the students, verbally told them to stand against the wall. Mr. Birdsong went into the gymnasium and checked on the other student. While he was in the gymnasium checking on the student, the other student who was involved in the altercation came in the gymnasium through another door and attacked the student again while Deputy Birdsong was there. At this time, Deputy Birdsong had a teacher restrain the student and carry the aggressive student back to the office. While Mr. Birdsong again was consoling the victim in this matter, the student who was being escorted to the office broke free from the teacher, came up on Mr. Birdsong's blind side, and appeared to throw a punch, at which time Mr. Birdsong felt he was under attack, in his own words, and took the student to the ground.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion and a second to approve. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Appreciate
guys.
you hearing this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on, waiver to attend another academy, Cleveland State Community College.
Cleveland State Community College requests a waiver to change academies for Jaden Enrique Serrano Moreno. In October of 2021, Mr. Moreno attended the Tennessee Law Enforcement Training Academy. Mr. Moreno was unable to complete the academy due to personal reasons. Cleveland State Community College is requesting the waiver to change academies so Mr. Moreno may attend their academy.
Is Mr. Moreno present this morning?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Can you go over with us the situation in which you want to change academies or re-attend the academy?
Yes, sir. Originally I was employed with Murfreesboro Police Department. Spent 3 months in preparing for that. I got to Toledo, went through the first day. It was great. I was excited. The second day I got a text from my sister that my mom wasn't doing so well because she's been battling cancer for a long time. But it kind of took a turn for the worst. I got the text, tried to put it behind me that whole day. Went to my flag detail, breakfast, and started class and all that. And the whole day I couldn't focus. I was trying to figure out, what was going on with her. Is this something like super serious that I need to leave now? And I didn't know exactly what I need to do. But at the end of it, I was kind of like, well, I know the academy will always be there, but family's not. And I had just lost my father the year prior. And it's something I didn't really get closure on. So I felt that, that I needed to be there with family because I didn't want to have regrets for the rest of my life. As much as I did not want to leave, I spoke with Miss English then, and she understood, and she helped me kind of more so know what I need to do. I just spoke with my lieutenant in Murfreesboro, and they all were very assuring that, that a family is super, super important. And that's something that's extremely important for me. So from then I did resign. And then I've been spending time, a few months with my mother at the Mayo Clinic. And she's the one who actually told me that she wanted me to not stop what I was doing and for all the stuff that I worked hard to do. And she wanted me to go back into it and, finally live my passion, my dream to do this. And so I found out about Cleveland, and I think it would be a great opportunity for me to actually go through with this. I'm ready, and I still have that fire in my heart to do this.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor? Motion carries. Best wishes to your mother. Hope she gets to feeling better, and good luck to you.
Thank
you. All right. Waivers of basic training. Yes, sir.
If we skip one.
Tennessee Department of Safety
I'm sorry.
after Hickman County.
Free employment requirement.
That was the name.
That was true.
Yeah.
Sorry about that.
I did not know.
We had a lot of additions and the corrections this morning. I thought I was looking on the wrong agenda. Sorry. No, thank you for bringing that up. So we're good. On page 3, waivers of basic training, specialized substitutions for in-service training. Believe that the host has reviewed 39 post-transition schools and waivers. Also, in addition, post assistant director is administratively approved 7 solo waivers and requests based on the governor's orders. Moving on to page 4. Administrative waivers of in-service. We have 2 requests of waivers of in-service from Bolivar Police Department, and I think they're both for about 5 hours. What was the name? On firearms, yes.
The first First will be a request for waiver in service for Dante Deshawn Morrow, hired March 1st, 2020. Mr. Morrow failed to complete 5 hours of the required firearms in service for the 2021 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
And also the same for the second one.
Juana Noelia Munoz.
Are they appearing this morning, Bolivar Police Department?
Yes, this is Chief Jones here with Officer Munoz and Officer Morrow.
Good morning. Are both of these 5 hours related, or is it 5 hours of difference reasonings?
They're related as far as doing the V Academy. And so it's all the same. They did do 40 hours. They also did shoot the firing range. They just did not get their V Academy firearm classes. One's a 3-hour class, the other's a 2-hour.
Yes, sir. Any questions of the commissioners?
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve? Second. Have a second? All in favor?
That is motion for both.
That is a motion for both officers with the Bolivar Police Department on page 4. Motion carries. Thank you, Bolivar, and good luck.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes.
Crossville Police Department, request a waiver of in-service for Terry Allen Graham, hired August 7th, 2003. On April 12th, 2021, Mr. Graham was placed on administrative leave pending an ongoing investigation. Mr. Graham was not able to complete any of the required 2021 in-service training. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Crossville Police Department, are you present this morning?
Yes, sir, I am. Chief Brooks with the Crossville Police Department.
Good morning, Mr. Brooks. Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
Yes, sir. Can you go over, Chief, the situation with Officer Graham?
Officer Graham was on unpaid leave for a violation of the law. He was stripped of all police authority and actually was had not even been to the police department. And so he was not able to do any kind of in-service training. And I'm asking for the waiver for in compliance of my department that everybody would be in. This was a issue that couldn't be helped, that he was off on leave, and I'd ask any kind of mercy that we receive approval for the rest of the officers to get their in-service.
Any questions of the chief from the board?
Mr. Chairman, is he asking for the agency and the officer?
That's my understanding.
If I may, if this is the same, it is the same Mr. Graham from yesterday.
what I
I
thought.
thought he was removed from the police
It
department. So
was.
since he's a civilian employee, I don't believe they need a waiver.
That is correct. Is that right from yesterday?
That's what we discussed, yes.
Yeah.
So I think this situation is kind of null and void.
Yes, sir.
Chief, do you understand where we're at? We discussed this yesterday, I think, and being that what we discussed yesterday would also affect you here, and that you would not need a waiver and you should be in compliance and everything should be squared away. You have gone above and beyond what I have seen in any experience on this board of trying to be transparent, and you should be commended for that.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. So, yeah, there's nothing here for us to vote on. You're good to go, and we will make note and make sure that Crossville Police Department is in good standing.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Chief. Police and Police Department.
Request a waiver of in-service for Kyle Lloyd Watkins, hired October 3rd, 2021. Due to the timing of being hired, Mr. Watkins was only able to complete 37 hours of the required 2021 in-service training. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
Okay. Gleason Police Department, are you present this morning? Gleason Police Department. Where is Gleason?
Up 22. West Tennessee, south of Arnold, McKenzie, between McKenzie and Dresden.
Any discussion on this issue?
Were those 3 hours or any of those mandates?
I'm present.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Gleason. Can you, Commissioner had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Were any of those missed 3 hours, any of the mandates, firearms, child sex abuse, driving, or mental illness?
All of the mandated requirements were met.
You said they were or were not.
They were met, yes, sir.
If I'm not mistaken, can we waive 4 hours of in-service to make the officer eligible for the supplement?
I think they're 10%.
So that would be up to 4 hours. He's only missing 3, so I'll make a motion that we waive for 3 hours to allow the officer to receive in-service and keep the department.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you this morning, Gleason.
Thank you.
Moving over to page 5, we'll be down to Hamilton County Sheriff's Office.
Request a waiver of in-service for Nicholas James Janot, hired December 20th, 2021. Mr. Janot was unable to complete all the required 2021 in-service training due to not only the timing of being hired, but also the availability of training sessions. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines.
And also, I'm looking at the second one is Hamilton County. The second one, is that on the same situation or is that?
They hired him in December, just didn't have time.
Okay. Hamilton County, are you present this morning?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is it my understanding of it's a hiring date issue and you were not able to get these officers into in-service? Is that correct?
That's correct.
Any
Sorry, we're having a thunderstorm here.
We are too.
Yes, that is correct. I'm Nick Janot, actually. And yes, due to my hire date, there was no further in-services last year, but I was able to attend in-service on February the 21st, which was the first available in-service for deputies who are not supervisors.
Okay, is Deputy Pickle there with you as well?
I believe he's in here. He's not with me in the same location, but I believe he's in the meeting.
Okay.
I'm
Was he hired on the same date?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Okay, same situation for you?
Similar, yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions of the board?
Were you both already certified law enforcement officers?
Yes, sir.
Did y'all work for another agency last year?
They came from agencies that did not allow. One of them came from Parks. And the other one.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Which agencies did you work for prior to this?
So I worked for the Chattanooga Police Department and I also worked for the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, but I left in February of 2021 and worked in the civilian field and then came back in December of 2021.
I worked for Tennessee State Parks.
And did you do any in-service with state parks last year?
Yes, I did. I completed most of my in-service training hours on V Academy. I actually, with another post-certified class that I took, I think I should have been at about 79 hours. There was one mandated class that was not available on V Academy when I left state parks. So that's going to be the class that I did not have that I was supposed to have.
I'll make a motion to approve both waivers.
Second. Have a motion and a second to approve both waivers. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to page 6. Just read one and then we'll just call all their names.
Metropolitan Police Department from Nashville request a waiver of in-service for Damon Scott Hutchinson, hired July 16, 2015. Mr. Hutchinson failed to complete the test portion of the required in-service training for the 2021 calendar year. Waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with post guidelines. Metropolitan Police Department also is requesting waivers for Brian Darnell Woodward, Mackenzie Isaac Harper, Barry Simone Scott, Matthew David Swindell, Warren Redrick Thomas.
Metro Police Department, are you on with us this morning?
Popped over for the.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
I was hiding behind the podium.
Okay. On the second one, there was, on the Woodard, it looks like it was, can you go over a little bit about the investigation, and then we'll address the rest of them as on testing issues?
Yes, sir. Mr. Woodard has been terminated from the police department and has been indicted for charge of aggravated sexual battery.
Okay. And on the others for testing issues, I think, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Can you give the board a little explanation of what went on?
Yes, sir. So in regards to Mr. Hutchison, I believe some these officers aren't mature on the police department. They haven't been around our system terribly long, and it's admittedly it's sort of a complicated system. In this example, he took the test, didn't receive a passing score, and then failed to retake the test, the final post test on the classroom content of the instruction. He was given reminders to complete the task, but he neglected to do so. Corrective action is pending at this time. My understanding is he got a good reprimand on that. In regards to Mackenzie Harper, simply stated that forgot to finish the rest of the course as was asked to do. And then shortly thereafter started FMLA for the birth of their first child. And that started on November. So missed that last opportunity. Perry Scott, brand new to the department, and there was an access issue that we had internally that kind of complicated the issue, but in spite of the reminders, didn't complete the testing portion. Kind of seems here. We're trying to correct that issue. I myself am new to the in-service unit. I've been out to the academy about a little over a year and just transferred training operations to the in-service unit. So we're trying to work through some of these issues. Mr. Swindell was decommissioned for investigative purposes. The current status on that one is took a 30-day suspension and resigned. I don't know anything about any criminal charges in regards to that. And then Mr. Thomas was unable to schedule the last of due to this.
Okay. Members of the board, let's go back to the top of page 6 for Metro Police Department, and let's address the Hutchins case. Any members of the board have questions to the Metro representative in that matter?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, the question for Mr. Hutchison, did you just say he just said he wasn't going to take the test?
That's kind of what it reads like, but I don't believe that's the case. Mr. Hutchison may be on the meeting virtually. And I apologize. A misunderstanding led me to understand that my presence was all that was required, that it's optional for them. And I apologize for that. If that was the case. I did speak to him yesterday. His first attempt at the quiz, he did not earn a passing score. He attempted the quiz for the second time, go again, this time with a 19%. And then he never attempted taking the final post test. There's quizzes and tests in our system. So you have to pass the quizzes to get to the tests. So he never completed, he never achieved a passing score on the quiz to get to the test.
Any more questions or comments reference the Hutchins issue?
Somebody's on there from Metro. I don't know if it's him. It's like a Metro. That's Harper McKenzie.
Make a motion that we keep the department in compliance, but not the officer. I'll second that.
Have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Would it be possible to have, move this to next month and have him present?
For that officer.
You can file for a waiver then the next month.
Correct. Is it you, are you following what their motion is and what you can do?
I believe so. We'll have to file this motion again on behalf of the officer.
Have a motion and a second discussion on the motion.
Is he still employed by? All these people still employed?
No, sir.
Well, we're just on that. He's still.
Officer Hutchinson, I'm here. I'm in the meeting right now.
Is this Mr. Hutchinson?
Yes, sir.
We're under discussion and a motion. Does anybody have any discussion for this officer?
Mr. Hutchinson, can you tell us what happened here?
So yeah, after I went to my in-service, I forgot to do my videos. I got an email probably around December 10th saying that I hadn't completed them. So at that point, I completed my videos. I had taken the quiz and taken tests, and to my knowledge, I had finished all of it. Then I received an email in January saying that I had not finished my videos, but I was unaware of that.
So when did these videos and tests first become available to you?
As soon as I finish in-service, the final portion becomes available to you, and that has to be finished before the end of the year.
So when was the first opportunity that you had to take the quiz, videos, and tests?
Right after I completed in-service, trying to think when I had it. It might have been in September, I believe.
So you had 3 months to do it?
Yes, sir. And like I said, I forgot, and then I got a reminder email that I had not done my videos in December. And at that point, I did, to my knowledge, I did complete them.
Well, I definitely appreciate your service. Stuff about rules we gotta follow, so thank you, Kieran.
Any other discussion with the officer?
This isn't, but if I'm not mistaken, I'm trying to look at there's something in the rules related to the test. Commissioner Wagner, Mr. Hudson, did you pass the test?
Yeah, to my knowledge, I had passed both, because we had to take a quiz and a test. I had passed both the quiz and the test.
And this was before the end of the year?
Yes, sir. Around December 10th, when I received the email that I had not completed my videos yet.
How do you take the test if you haven't completed the courses?
You take the quiz first, and once you pass the quiz, then the test becomes available to you.
Okay, so does training command have confirmation of the test? I mean, there should be a confirmation sheet or something that pass fail.
I don't have that information.
What's your understanding? Did he pass it or not?
No, my understanding is he attempted the quizzes on December the 20th for a second time and failed with a 19%. If you fail the quiz, you have to achieve a passing score on the quiz before you can go on to the test. And then he never attempted the final post exam about the classroom.
So you're kind of telling me we're attempting to bypass that attempt at some point in time. It is common that folks will go in and try to attempt to take the quizzes and the tests without going through the test or the videos and the training.
No, they're not allowed to. The system actually won't let you go, takes it sequentially. So you have to do the content first, and the content order that it's set up. And then the quiz comes and if they pass the quiz.
Okay.
And then move on to the next block. So they can't just take the test without doing the content.
So at this time, has Officer Hutchinson passed that test?
Not to my knowledge.
And was he correct on the date of September was the first opportunity he had to watch the videos, take the quizzes, and take the test?
According to this information, it was May the 10th through the 12th was the classroom instruction. And it should have been locked in.
And what happens if we approve the waiver for the police department, but not the officer?
Officer won't receive his stipend for the year.
My understanding is all these candidates that we're discussing here will not receive their stipend for the
I think as important as this is, we just need to go with the vote of what we got on the.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Is any further discussion on the motion? Do you need to repeat the motion, please?
Motion is keep department in compliance, but not off.
Does everybody understand that motion? Hearing no further discussion, all in favor of the motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed to the motion? Motion carries. Moving on to the Officer Woodard. Can you, any questions of the commission about the case dealing with Officer Woodard?
Is Officer Woodard still employed with the Metro National Police Department?
Is not.
It's terminated.
I just make the same motion as before. We keep the police department compliance and not the officer.
Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Moving down to Mackenzie Harper. Is Mackenzie on today?
Yes, sir, I'm here.
Since you've taken the time to attend, could you discuss to the Tennessee Post Commission what happened with failure to complete the portion of the test?
Yes, sir. I completed all my videos for in-service prior to attending. I remember when we were leaving in-service, they instructed us to go finish our final test. I actually had to run and didn't do it at the academy like most people did. And naturally, I just forgot. And I got an email to redo it. But at that time, I was on paid family leave for the birth of my son. And so I didn't really have access to it or have time to get to it. So I called my sergeant to update him on it. And to my understanding, which I misunderstood what he was saying, was I thought he was telling me that I could finish my test when I got back from paid family leave, which wasn't until the first of the year, I believe January 12th. And so I waited till then to get back to work. And then that's when the whole issue arose because I didn't finish it before the end of the year.
Mackenzie, can you do me a favor?
Yes, sir.
As an officer at Metro Police Department in the state of Tennessee, can you pass along to the future generations and the current generations that everybody's in service has to be done and submitted to this body by December of every year? Every officer that goes through this academy is drilled and drilled on that, okay? And I need
Yes,
you to
sir.
help me with that because it can cost you your license and your career in this field. I need
Absolutely.
long. I cannot stress that any stronger.
Yes, sir.
I hear it at my department and everybody sitting at this board hears it month after month after month. And for some reason, we have officers in this state that just take this training and blow it off. And that's not good. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any further questions of this board to this officer?
Officer Harper, when did you start FMLA?
I started it November 12th and I took 2 full months.
Okay, so you had from roughly May, whatever the date was, up to November the 12th. Is this training?
No, sir. So I did the videos, but after the videos and after your in-service training, I think mine was in October at some point, then the final test comes available. So the final test is not available previously to that. So toward the end of the year was when the test was available. And I didn't complete the test immediately following my in-service. I forgot about it. I received a follow-up email about it while I was on paid family leave. Addressed my sergeant. And then I misunderstood what he was telling me. I thought I could finish it when I got back from paid family leave. and that wasn't the case.
When did the test become available?
Immediately after following in service, I think it was some point in October. I can't remember my exact date.
So you had almost 2 months to complete it.
Yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate your service, but I'm gonna make the motion to have the police department in compliance, and unfortunately, you're not in compliance, because you had 2 months, and that's my motion, but I do appreciate your service, and thank you for what you did.
Yes, sir.
Any further questions? Have a motion and a second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Down to Officer Scott. Is this the same time?
And she's actually in service right now. There's a reason why she was not gonna be here. Yes, she attended and did not complete the quizzes and tests.
And she's in service for 2022, not 2021.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions of dealing with the 2021 in service on this officer?
I'll make the same motion, the police department in compliance, the officer. Second.
Second, any discussion? All in favor indicate by saying aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Moving over to page 7, dealing with Matthew Swindle. Placed on administrative. Any questions in this matter?
He's no longer there.
No longer there.
Same motion, police department's approved or granted. Officers.
Is this the guy that was indicted?
No.
Okay.
Just resign. Any second, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Okay. Warren Thomas, in service training. Any questions dealing with the Warren Thomas?
It's the same situation.
He was scheduled for the last in-service of the year and was sick.
Was he off work due to his illness?
I believe so.
Is Mr. Thomas on this morning? See Thomas at the bottom that's muted.
Did he have any time from the in-service date to his sickness time to complete it?
No, not that we've been scheduled.
Any further?
Is he on?
I see the last name Thomas. I don't know if it's Warren Thomas or not, but Mr. Thomas, can you hear us? If you're on, you're muted. If it's the one I see on the screen, could you unmute and talk to us?
Do you know if this officer ever missed in service prior to? Look like he's been a long-standing officer.
I do not.
Since there's an issue, I'll make the motion, we roll it to next month. But if he was on sick leave, I don't necessarily know that we need to deny.
Have a motion to roll to next month. Have a second. All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Moving down to Pigeon Forge Police Department.
Request a waiver of in-service for Rodney Robert Carr, hired September 8th, 1986. On November 4th, 21, Mr. Carr was placed on medical leave. Mr. Carr was unable to complete the required in-service training for the 2021 calendar year. The waiver will allow both the agency and the officer to remain in compliance with those guidelines.
Mr. Carr or Pigeon Forge present this morning?
Yes, we're here. Chief Catlett, along with Gary Ott. Good morning.
Morning, Chief. Can you tell us a little bit what was going on with Officer Carr?
Yes, sir. So Rod Carr is he's been with us for over 35 years with no break in service. He had some medical issues around the end of October into the 1st of November. He was enrolled into the training officers course in Gatlinburg in November, but a week or so prior to that, he started having some medical issues. The doctor put him out, and he's currently still out. So we're working through a few things with him, but we would like to request that he be granted that waiver for 2021.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, motion approves. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you all. Have a good day.
Yes, sir. Moving on to page 8. Waivers of 6-month rule, none to report. Waivers of 8-month rule. And again, I think all of these, Chattanooga Police Department, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. If we go through those and put the names in record, executive secretary, and then we'll have a discussion.
Chattanooga Police Department is requesting 8-month waivers, beginning with Bradford David Brown, retired in good standing. The next is Alan Michael Griffith, retired in good standing. James Christian Hickson, retired in good standing. Patrick Glenn Hubbard, retired in good standing. Wayne Elliott Jefferson Jr., retired in good standing. Lorraine Dane Johnston Sr., retired in good standing. Gary Rodney Martin, retired in good standing. David Thomas Roddy, retired in good standing.
Motion to approve. Second.
Second. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Dixon Police Department request 8-month waiver.
For Donald Ray Arnold, retired in good standing.
All in favor? Or motion to approve? I'm sorry.
Motion to approve.
Don't let me get ahead of myself here. Second, all in favor? Good deal. Moving over to page 10. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and I think we better address that one on solo.
Request an 8-month waiver for Reagan O. McDevitt, hired January 21, 1992, on June the 16th of 21. Mr. McDevitt retired in good standing. Prior to retiring, Mr. McDevitt completed all the required 21 in-service training.
And also, I think, is that the same on the second one, is it retired in good standing?
Yes, sir. David Wayne Tittle.
Okay.
Motion to approve. Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve both Hamilton County retired in good standings. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Johnson City Police Department.
Request 8-month waiver for William Earl Hammer and Terry Blake Harden, both retired in good standing.
Any discussion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and second, all in favor? Motion carries. Knoxville Police Department.
Knoxville Police Department requests 8-month waiver for Ronald Michael Lincolns Jr., Danny Keith Padusis, Douglas Ray Stiles, all retired in good standing.
Okay. Any questions or discussion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Laverne Police Department.
Request an 8-month waiver for Timothy Scott Hudgens, retired in good standing.
Discussion?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve, second, all in favor? Opposed? None. Motion carries. Murray County.
Request an 8-month waiver for Marvin Dwight Faulk, retired in good standing.
Motion approved.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor? Opposed? Hearing none. Pleasant View Police Department.
Request 8-month waiver for Ricky Estel Stevens, retired in good standing.
Motion to approve. Second.
All in favor? Opposed? Hearing none. Robertson County Sheriff's Office.
Request 8-month waiver for Richard Kevin Williams. Mr. Williams was placed on medical leave. Prior to being placed on medical leave, Mr. Williams completed all the required 2021 in-service training.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Shelby County Sheriff's Office.
Shelby County Sheriff's Office requests an 8-month waiver for Terry Don DeShields, William Michael Franks, David Brian Payne, Michael Darrell Pope, and Rosalind Yolanda Harris. all retired in good standing.
Make the motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Is there anybody left in the state that had retired? Waiver for medical rule. 2021, Camden Police Department, West Marysville medical waivers.
For James Joseph Harden and James Calvin Inman.
Any discussion? I'll entertain a motion to approve or disapprove.
May I make a recommendation? Go through all the agencies.
Are they all them? Okay, do them all. I'll entertain that idea and go ahead, sir.
Chattanooga Police Department, Kelly Renee Cronin, Galen Deshay Roberts, Joshua Thomas Stone, Jonathan Anthony Voltero. Clarksville Police Department, Tanner Sloan Pugh, Brian Gus Tinry. Fayetteville Police Department, Christopher Randall Mitchell. Germantown Police Department, Theodore Maximilian Brodnow. Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, Patricia Irene Nolan, Marty Eugene Ray, Joseph Emilio Sanchez. Jackson Police Department, Aaron Dwayne Sisk. Knox County Sheriff's Office, Zachary Lee Akins, Tammy Michelle Brummett, Gregory Kenneth Faulkner, Alex Scott LaRue, Anthony Keith Rathbone, Carla Sue Smith, David Keith West. Knoxville Police Department, Clayton Lynn Madison, Edward Leroy Nation, Deanna Page Rickerman. Marshall County Sheriff's Office, James Freddie Darnell. Metropolitan Police Department of Nashville Davidson County, Caitlin Marie Argyropoulos, William Charlton Bowler, Carrie Dale Briley, Brian Lamont Carter, Pamela Denise Caldler, Holly Christine Davis, William Shannon Hamlin, Megan Kathleen Hoffman, Joe Hewlin Hooper III, Richard Edmund Jackson, Jacob Lee Crispin, Sharaf Mahad Mallory, Megan Rose McCowan, Janelle Dawn Moss, Michael Jean Reed, Clayton DeAndre Smith, James Leslie Smith Jr., Melina Michael Tamborella, Brian Scott Tony. Pigeon Forge Police Department, Michelle Jane Brown, Rutherford County Sheriff's Office, Sarah Leanna Blair. Sevier County Sheriff's Office, Sherman Darrell Lee, Robert Brian Stoffel. Shelby County Sheriff's Office, Kiona Monet Aguilera, Charles Mitchell Eldridge, Michael Patrick Kramer, Kenneth Bernard Robertson, Amber Danielle Wilson, Charlie Vincine Wooten. Shelby Police Department, Robert Greg Lloyd. Spring Hill Police Department, Thomas Darnell Goats, Jason Lee Zollner.
Approve all that.
All in favor? Opposed? Thank you. Let's see. Just that time of year. Page 17, request for military leave. Assistant Director has reviewed 3 military waivers, corresponding documents. All recorded documents appear to be in order to meet the minimum standards set forth by the Post Commission. Moving on to applications for training officer. And post investigators have reviewed and approved 11 applications for training officer, and they appear to be correct. The officers listed below will be informed they have 1 year to complete the instructor development course. And that'll be Merida Guerin, Chattanooga Police, or Airport Police Department, Thomas Brown Jr. of the Mountain City Police Department. Any discussion?
Motion to approve.
Motion. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, hearing none, motion carries. Applications for certified instructor. Post investigators have reviewed and approved 23 applications, and they appear to be in order to meet the minimum standards. They have to complete the minimum hours and attendance to required courses. They have 1 year to complete instructor development and approve for substitute. The officers listed below requested a waiver of the 1 year training requirement. Edward Beatty, Chattanooga Airport Police Department. James Richard Ellis, Portland Police Department. William B. Copeland, Sparta Police Department. Any discussion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none, we'll move to page 18. Curriculum and test for specialized training. Post investigators have reviewed and approved 341 in-service and specialized training classes. This month, they appear to be in order and meet or exceed this minimum standards set forth by the Post Commission. They have made note of these training, and there's none. They meet the offerings of the post requirements of firearms, EVOC, mental illness, and CSA. Any discussion? Motion approved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries, and I want to commend I just can't say enough about our post staff of what they've had to look at and approve and appreciate it. No old business to report. Moving on to new business, just for discussion, Knox County Sheriff's Office Regional Training Academy is requesting approval of their 2021 annual report.
Motion to approve.
Have a motion to approve. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Good job, Sheriff. Spring City Police Department, Michael Antonio LaBoy was hired on December 7th, 2020. However, post did not receive the required paperwork until February 7th, 2020 and 2022. I'm sorry. Spring City Police Department, are you appearing this morning?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the Post Commission a little bit about this case?
Basically, the previous administration did not submit the paperwork in, and I took over on February the 10th. And within a week, we found that had not been submitted, and we got all the paperwork sent into post.
We have it.
Okay. We have it all. Any questions from the board?
Motion to approve.
Second. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none. Motion is approved. Thank you.
Thank you, Post.
Right. Houston County Sheriff's Office requests the commission to determine if Camden Robert Lang is qualified to run for sheriff of Houston County, Tennessee.
If I may, that's probably not worded the best.
That's what I was thinking.
Mr. Lang has filed an application to run for sheriff.
Okay.
I have asked that he come before the commission because the qualifying experience is all out of state. To my knowledge, we've had some previously who have had both a mix of in-state and out-of-state experience that met the qualifying. We have one this year that is that case, but in that case, that officer was previously post-certified, left the state, came back, became post-certified again.
Do we have, before we get into this, does the post in possession of all the training?
And it should be on the iPads.
Okay.
Yes.
From,
We have everything. It's just determination as to whether or not it's on his iPad.
okay, okay. Good morning. I take it you're Mr. Lang and you're appearing here before us this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Yes, sir. Honored to be here. Thank you.
Can you go over with the Post Commission your law enforcement history briefly? And
Absolutely.
thank you.
Back in 2012, I was hired with the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department. with that department until October of 2019, where I was retired in good standing. I then left the state of California and moved to the beautiful state of Tennessee and into Houston County. And I have been there for 2 years, since May, June 2020. And I currently operate an investment brokerage where I'm the supervising principal and supervise 6 to a maximum of 16 licensed agents.
Okay. You are a graduate of the San Bernardino Sheriff's Basic Academy, Class 185.
Yes, sir.
And it looks like you've completed approximately 723 hours in that academy, running from leadership and ethics all the way to emergency operations.
That's correct.
Question for the statute, does it state just 3 years out of 10 full-time certified law enforcement or and live in the county for 1 year? But it doesn't say anything specific about what that is, right?
Well, that's why I wanted the commission to consider, it does state that it has to be training equivalent to that at the required by the post commission. So if you all find that training and his experience meet what's required by the statute.
That would be the same, Commissioner Forster, as if a retired FBI, ATF, DEA, TBI agent, that it's in that same category. He's in that same category as one of those.
In that case, I'll make a motion that we approve it and also require it to go through our post transitions.
Have a motion on the floor that we approve it and go through post-transition school if elected. Is that the way you're wording that? Yeah, okay.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. Congratulations, sir.
Appreciate that very much. If I can make an inquiry to the board, if that's all right, or appropriate. So in regards to election campaign laws and inside of an inquiry into either a certification or qualification of a candidate, I believe it's important for this board to determine whether a specific challenge to a candidate is going to follow alongside election campaign commission requirements or alongside just a certification post. So I think there's an important relationship that needs to be determined there. So if I could inquire into the board whether this was a candidate inquiring into my certification and qualifications, or if this is a post commission part of it.
I think my answer from that was we only react to those that request, or if something is done during the investigation of your submitted packet. But it can be done by a candidate, or it can be done by the investigators on this board.
So I guess the inquiry would be, was it done by a candidate, and can I be identified as who that candidate was?
That I do not have the answer to.
I will say that I was unaware of any challenge. It was brought to me by staff, will this meet the qualifications? And as I said to you on the phone the other day, I said, I don't know, that's the commission's, I can't make that determination. Statutorily, the commission decides that.
And I could understand legal doing that, and legal did the right thing for bringing this, because it's just unusual. So that and it would be in every state. It'd be like me moving to California and being there a year as a financial advisor in San Bernardino, and I pop up and say, I'm going to run for sheriff. So it just doesn't happen much. But as far as we're concerned, you're going to be on the ballot.
Thank you all very much. I appreciate it.
All right. Any further questions or issues from the commission? Motion to adjourn. Have a motion to adjourn. All in favor, stand up, leave, and turn the lights out. Yes, sir. Sorry.
We'll meet next week. Thanks. For the 24th. I don't know. We'll meet